Have you ever pondered on the potential dangers of the sun, our very source of life? This fiery star, while essential for our existence, harbors a darker side. It's not just a benign celestial body that provides warmth and light, but an unpredictable force with the capacity to unleash chaos. Its radiant glow masks secrets that can both fascinate and terrify. It's a paradox, a riddle wrapped in a mystery, and the subject of our exploration today. Join us as we delve into the 10 terrifying dangers of our sun that have scientists worried. Starting at number 10, we have solar flares. These are sudden, powerful eruptions that occur on the surface of the sun. They are born from intense magnetic energy that builds up in the sun's atmosphere. Now, imagine this. A sudden, massive burst of radiation catapulting across the void of space, aimed straight at our planet. That's a solar flare for you. While they may sound like something out of a science fiction novel, they're a very real phenomenon. These flares can be so powerful that they disrupt communication systems on Earth, potentially wreaking havoc on our technology-dependent society. Think about losing GPS signals, experiencing prolonged power outages, or facing severe disruptions in air travel. Yes, these are all potential outcomes of a powerful solar flare. While not immediately life-threatening, the potential disruption to our technology-dependent society is indeed worrisome. So the next time you look up at the sun, remember it's not just a ball of light and heat, it's a dynamic and unpredictable force of nature. Number 9 on our list brings us to solar wind. The sun doesn't just give us warmth and light, it also bombards us with a constant stream of charged particles, a phenomenon known as the solar wind. Born from the sun's incredibly hot outer atmosphere, or corona, these particles race through space at mind-boggling speeds, reaching up to 1,000,000 miles per hour. Now imagine this relentless onslaught of particles colliding with our planet. Fear not, for our magnetic field acts as a shield, deflecting most of these particles away. However, some do sneak through, interacting with our atmosphere and causing the stunning displays of the northern and southern lights. But the solar wind is not all beauty and wonder. It can also cause disturbances in our planet's magnetic field, potentially damaging satellites and disrupting power grids. The silent, invisible force of solar wind holds a subtle danger that we can't afford to ignore. Sunspots take the 8th spot on our list. These are curious phenomena, cooler and darker areas on the sun's surface. They're caused by interactions with the sun's magnetic field, a bit like freckles created by a cosmic magnet. Now, you might find it surprising that these cooler areas could pose any threat, but here's the twist. Sunspots are often the birthplaces of solar flares. Solar flares, as we've already discussed, are massive bursts of radiation that can hurl towards our planet with potentially catastrophic consequences. Now picture a sunspot, a cooler, darker area on the sun's surface, suddenly erupting into a solar flare. It's like a cosmic jack-in-the-box, peaceful one moment and explosively dangerous the next. The most concerning aspect of sunspots is their potential to disrupt communication on Earth. They can cause radio blackouts, interfere with GPS navigation, and even disrupt power grids. So these seemingly harmless dark spots on the sun may be more dangerous than they appear. At number 7, we have solar proton events. These are high-energy particles ejected by the sun during solar flares or coronal mass ejections. But what makes solar proton events so dangerous? Well, it's their potential to cause significant harm to both astronauts and space technology. Imagine this. Our sun, in its fiery glory, suddenly hurls a barrage of high-energy protons towards Earth. These protons, traveling at nearly the speed of light, can penetrate the human body, damaging cells and DNA. This poses a serious health risk for astronauts in space, potentially leading to radiation sickness or even cancer. But the threat isn't limited to just humans. The high-energy protons can also wreak havoc on our technology. They can damage satellites, interfere with GPS and communication systems, and even cause malfunctions in spacecraft. And the most terrifying part? These solar proton events are largely unpredictable, happening without any warning. The invisible danger of solar proton events adds another layer to the risks of space exploration. Number 6 brings a more familiar danger: increased UV radiation. Perhaps you've heard of this one before, or maybe you've even felt its effects after a long day in the sun. Ultraviolet, or UV radiation, is a type of energy produced by the sun. While some UV radiation is essential, providing us with that all-important vitamin D, too much can have harmful effects on both our health and the environment. For humans, overexposure can lead to skin cancer, cataracts, and even damage to our immune system. It's a silent threat that can have deadly consequences. For the environment, it's no less destructive. The higher levels of UV radiation can harm all forms of life, from the smallest plankton to the largest trees, disrupting ecosystems and biodiversity. But it's not all doom and gloom. By understanding the dangers, we can take steps to protect ourselves and our planet. After all, knowledge is power. Increased UV radiation, a silent but deadly consequence of our sun's activity. We've reached the top half of our countdown with solar storms at number 5. Solar storms, also known as geomagnetic storms, are a fascinating yet fearsome phenomenon. They're essentially a massive explosion in the sun's atmosphere, releasing an incredible amount of energy and charged particles. These storms have the potential to cause catastrophic damage to our planet's electrical systems. Imagine this: a colossal solar storm hits Earth, causing a widespread blackout. The power grid is down, communication networks are disrupted, and satellites are knocked out of service. The effect would be global, and the recovery could take months, if not years. These storms are not just a thing of science fiction. In fact, they've happened before. The Carrington event of 1859 was the largest recorded solar storm, and it caused telegraph systems across Europe and North America to fail. The potential devastation of a large-scale solar storm is truly terrifying, so we must continue to study and understand these solar events to better prepare for them. At number 4, we find coronal mass ejections. Now, these are not your average solar flares. Coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, are massive bursts of gas and magnetic field that erupt from the sun's corona, the outermost part of its atmosphere. Picture this. These eruptions can send billions of tons of solar particles into space, traveling at speeds of up to 1,000,000 miles per hour. If the Earth lies in their path, it could spell trouble. These particles can interact with our planet's magnetic field, causing what we call geomagnetic storms. Now, why should we worry about these storms? They can wreak havoc on our modern society. Power grids could go down, leaving entire cities in the dark. Satellites could malfunction, disrupting communication and navigation systems. So, while they might seem like distant, abstract phenomena, coronal mass ejections are very real and potentially very destructive. Coronal mass ejections, a solar phenomenon with a potentially catastrophic impact. At number 3, we ponder the long-term danger of solar intensity increase. This might not be the most immediate threat, but it's a slow, creeping danger that scientists are keeping a close eye on. The sun's intensity is predicted to increase over billions of years, and as it does, the Earth could eventually become too hot to support life. This isn't a sudden, catastrophic event like a solar flare or a coronal mass ejection. Instead, it's a gradual process that could make our planet uninhabitable over an incredibly long timescale. This is due to the sun's life cycle. As it ages, it burns hotter and brighter, releasing more energy. This energy increase will eventually cause the Earth's temperature to rise, potentially leading to a runaway greenhouse effect. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? A slow but inevitable danger, the increasing intensity of our sun. At number 2, we encounter the terrifying possibility of solar superflares. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is a solar superflare? Well, imagine a solar flare, but on a scale hundreds to thousands of times more powerful. A typical solar flare can knock out satellites and cause blackouts, but a solar superflare, that's a whole different level of devastation. These astronomical behemoths are not just theoretical. Scientists have observed superflares in other stars, and historical data suggest our own sun might have produced smaller-scale superflares in the past. The potential occurrence of a superflare is rare, but the consequences could be catastrophic. Think global power outages, satellite disruptions, and severe atmospheric changes. However, it's important to remember that the likelihood of a superflare occurring in our lifetime is extremely low. Our sun is a relatively calm star, and while it has the potential to unleash a superflare, it's not something that happens often. Solar superflares, a rare but potentially civilization-ending event. And finally, at number 1, we reach the inevitable: the sun's death. This celestial body, our sun, has a life cycle just like any other organism. Born from a nebula, it grows, matures, and will eventually die. When it exhausts its nuclear fuel, the sun will expand into a red giant, swallowing nearby planets, including Earth. The sun's death, a far-off but unavoidable event that will mark the end of our solar system as we know it. Our journey through the sun's dangers has come to an end. From solar flares to the sun's eventual death, we've unraveled 10 unnerving realities. These potential threats underline the importance of science in understanding and preparing for what lies ahead. It's a delicate balance, the sun, our life source, also harboring dangers that could impact our existence. So, keep in mind, while we bask in its warmth, we must also respect its power. While the sun is our life source, it also holds potential dangers that we must not ignore. Keep looking up, stay curious, and continue exploring the cosmos with us.